What's up, guys? So I just want to say it's been a very long week for me, and I am recording this expecting it to be out before my next week's video for global events. If it's something big or huge, I'm probably not going to put this video out before that one. So it could go one of two ways. It might be late or it might be on time. But I'm going to start things off with the story progression. All the clips from here, I've started to do them in my spare time from the 19th, and while I'm commentating it's the 24th. It's been a lot of work. It's been, I don't even know how many hours of recording through very busy work days. And let's not forget the editing. So, it's just been ridiculous. It's just been ridiculous. I'm not really going to commentate about the story part, because story is, I feel like, the least important thing. I mean, it does give you XP and levels, but you're more of a power check for story clearing than anything else, and the rewards aren't really the best compared to hard story. But I will say that a lot of time went into this video. I'm very relieved that it's finally reached this point, because time is not on my side. And when you think about my thumbnails as well, that I have to actually render out the characters themselves to make thumbnails, I put a lot of effort and a lot of work into these videos. Makes me realize how much things used to be simpler and easier back then when I guess had more time. But also, I really feel like Tower of God is just not content creator friendly. I mean, everything is really slow. The progression has to be sped up, and you're waiting a lot. This game is just slow. I mean, I'm used to like fast-paced games, or even then more of a exponential progression system, and I don't really feel like that with this game. So if you're not a whale, do know that you are going to take your time, and it's perfectly okay. I've said this before in my last video, and I'm also never doing a video over another hour. I try to combine everything into the last video, and I realized afterwards that it was a pretty bad idea. So I'm going to try to do multiple videos, try not to put things out more than an hour. But the few tips I have for story mode is it is really dependent on pre-charging. If you're given a chance, that can really influence how the fight goes. And it really also depends on the power, your accuracy stat, and what units you have in it. So I managed to get through chapter 11. 11.6 was very bad with that laser girl, but I didn't have that issue anymore. Then I get up to chapter 12, where I really thought it was going to be so easy. And we get to this one part, which honestly, it's like really cool to me. I actually love this next part. But I am more in shock about, like, wow, it is a lot more difficult. So when you get to 12.4, that is like the first wall, but this Myrotic Guardian, they make him out to be like Gilgamesh from Fate's Stay Night or something here. And it's honestly like, I'm very impressed with it. I think it's great, but this fight is just ridiculous. So you go up to this point, and you get a cutscene, which honestly, it looks sick to me. Like, this whole part I love. Then he destroys your soul. And I replayed the cutscene again, try this out, and I realized at this point, I cannot make this fight work. So I backed out, and 12.4 is the wall. Got into hard story, trying to do 4.9, and it's a ridiculous fight because it's all back-to-back fights from what I know so far. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to Viole's Revolution Road Step 7. Now, I have not really any tips. This team worked for me. So putting White Uraha and Uriha. And I had Reflejo's Family Fate skill. Plus, you have to recharge on the second fight. And then I put the Pumpkin in as my pet because it gives extra defense stats. Otherwise, honestly, it's just pain. Like this, I had it unlocked for over 20 to 30 levels. I've had this unlocked as soon as you can pretty much have the stage, and I was unable to clear it. But finally, after like another hour or more in attempts for this, I was able to clear it, And I'm done with all the Revolution Road content currently until they update it. Gets you the Varagov skill, which is a regular Fate skill, and it gives you defense increase for Fog. And it gives you the tier 6 for Viole, which adds a stun for 1 second to his EX, which I think is actually pretty good. So now I'm fixing everything up because Viole gives me more power. I have the Reflejo skill, and at this point we're starting to do tower. Now it's been a long journey. Okay, we start at 200 in this video. So I will say that I went through a lot of experiments. Pets wise, started off doing the 10C pet because it was working out for me, and I was relying heavily on Jinsung and Yuraha and White. And I'll say Hansung is like an MVP. I'm so glad that I got him C6. And I'm really glad that he exists. Because without Hansung, would not be able to clear this stuff. His stun is just crucial. Having a knockback. And I feel like his damage is actually pretty decent. Although mine's barely worked on. So, a lot of things going on. Okay, I will also say that ignition skill wise, I'd have to have Violes off pretty much all the time unless I was using a different passive, which I don't believe I was. And for White, you would expect to not use his ignition to deal more damage. But in the cases of where it's a unit that is a higher level than you and you're having low accuracy and you can't hit them, you actually need the ignition. Because the ignition powers him up and allows him to actually shred to their defense regardless. But tower is a lot of RNG. We get to 210, I get the 210 pack, and it gives me a legendary, and I'm hoping it's something that can improve things, and it's Daniel T6, and I'm just like, great. I never use him, I don't care. But you're going to see all the content clearing. I will also suggest to you guys some characters. So legendary wise, even a T0 Jinsung Ha will help you with the CC. You have Sachi that will help, you have Verity that will help, you have Yuriha that will help. Besides your typical other units that you're going to be using. But there's a lot of epic units that will bring you success. And I highly recommend, if you're stuck on things, try using a Varagov, a Shibisu, Quant, Lore, Aguero, and even Wang Nan. But I will say that they have to be pretty much Transcendent 6. You can even use Horyang as well. Purples will do a lot. Like, I've been using Varagov a lot for these towers, and him simply just giving massive boosts to all Fug teammates is ridiculous. Because he ends up increasing their movement speed, decreases the amount of magic damage they're taking, increases their defense, all sorts of stuff. Like, I feel like Varagov, you know, I had mixed feelings about him for the longest, but he pulled through in these tower videos, and I actually have a lot of respect for him. So he's definitely a great unit to use. Now, tower in general. There's a lot of walls, okay? Don't listen to people. A lot of people told me that if you clear like 173 or 178, you'll clear all of 200 whatever towers. Don't believe that bullshit. I'm telling you right now, there are walls in every single 10 bracket floors, and it's probably specific to you, or it's just a general sense, but there's a lot of walls. So here at 222, I couldn't push. It was like really difficult. I tried RNGing. My accuracy is really low. So I was thinking about what to do. Now I had more refines, so I'm like, I'm gonna try to refine the legendary, and maybe this will just be enough to save me and help me progress. So I was expecting to get a skill damage boost that's purple, or mostly I was expecting to get the purple or legendary accuracy boost, or the accuracy stat, because I was like, I literally had a legendary accuracy and I threw it away in my Huayuan video, so I'm upset about that. That could have been such a difference. So I'm like, whatever, I'm just gonna go all into this and hope I get something. And I really hate how you can roll other family refines on like a Fug family one. Like, they should have made it where it's limited like that, so you're not going to get great family. But this is when it changed. Everything has changed after this, alright? This changes everything. You've heard that before on YouTube, but I'm serious. I did not expect to get a 60% EX gauge fill for Fog. Now, it's ridiculous because this works on Jinsung, it works on White, it works on Reflejo, Huayron, and it works on Varagov. So that is actually a great thing to get. And because of that, I was able to push further. Because I was noticing that White was getting his EX so fast, and it actually does a great amount of damage. Even gives him a heal for every hit. But you also had Varagov, who would get his EX, and that would end up boosting Fug defense. So it was providing a lot of survivability. And you know, it's kind of ridiculous because even with Jinsung, it ended up silencing enemies. So that EX gauge was pretty huge in why I could climb any further. But there's Quan floors that are ridiculous. There's Yon floors that are ridiculous. And you're gonna see me shift unit to unit, team to team. Most of the time, you're gonna be seeing a full Fog team with like Uraha. So this is like my standard was with Jinsung, Hansung, Viole, White, and Uraha. If I couldn't use that, I had to do some kind of changes. But I also ended up switching the pet around this time to the Zagena pet, only because I started realizing that the damage didn't really matter because I had to end up getting White's ignition to go off at a later stage. And eventually I figured out how you can kind of push the ignition out, because with certain units and certain positionings, it would just buy you enough time to get the ignition and you just have to RNG. But I would suggest using the Zagena pet if you are lower powered, just because it does give you damage resist from boss monsters, which really helps out. Because against the main boss from Taro Trial, it's going to keep you safe, and they're doing most of the damage anyway. More importantly for Quant stages. And Yon. And I guess Ron. I mean, honestly, I feel like every stage is a nightmare at this point. There were some stages that were really easy, some that were very hard. And if you do get the blue pet, it ends up giving you the one-shot protection. So if you were to go under 30% HP, you end up healing. But it's just like, I even had to rely on RNG to where I would clear the stage but die at the same time, and thankfully it counted for the clear. So it was a whole process. Like, you're gonna see it all in a very short amount of time. But I had like another almost 100 gigabytes of files, like how many hours of footage, RNG. And here I was like, okay, I need to just get my God's Inventory up. And I would say God's Inventory is very important, but if you're free to play, low spender, you want to transcend your purple gear before going into purple God's Inventory for the stats. So here I'm just trying to power up White because he's just my main damage carry. Trying to get the God's Inventory for Fug to go up, and especially since I'm pretty much going a full Fug route, it's going to make such a difference. Especially because at level 10 for God's Inventory, you start getting an attack speed boost. And that attack speed boost is huge. But here, it's asking me to craft, you know, tier 3s and tier 2s just to get stats. Defense, attack, crit are the most important stats you can get for your units. I'm even taking accuracy, because accuracy is huge. So gold is also the issue. Luckily I have 20 million saved up at this point. So I'm powering up because I once again hit another wall to where I couldn't power through. And you're going to see a lot of times where if you see me powering up and it's not straight content progression, it means that I just couldn't RNG after like an hour. And I was forced to just like, how can I raise my power up? How can I get better stats? But I would say that you'd expect to have at least 500 accuracy to clear 250 comfortably. I was under 400 accuracy on my White. So that's why it took a lot of RNG, team compositions, and I did use a lot of different people's teams through Discord, looking at ideas through actual leaderboards on Tower. There was just so many people involved, so many like failed attempts and switching from team to team. So I really just wanted to get straight to the point and show this. But you know, thank you to everyone that I did end up using for the teams or any kind of setups because I was open to looking at any suggestion. I wanted to clear all of tower. And here, at this point, I was like, I'm so close to 180, and 180 also gives me legendary. At this point, I was expecting to just get Urek T6. It's probably the only dupes that could help me, or like get my last Evan dupe, my last Uriha dupe, get more Ron dupes, you know. So I was able to get 180 with the claim rewards, and gets me the last reward from the first Storm Bomb package as well. 180 also had a pack. And the legendary gave me a beta, which is like just the worst curse in this game. Most useless unit in the game. Even if you had him fully duped, he is garbage. So, getting him is just like, it's a done deal. Like, I literally got, my legendary tickets were just not doing good. But at this point, getting to 239. And I will say that the one stage that stood out to me the most for a wall was, I think, 239 was one of them. And the other one is coming up right now. 241. Now, I literally got through a few stages and I had to go to this. So I was able to get the final, I got the rank reward set, the royal one, to get that boost. And I'm just thinking, okay, for 3 more, I can get a little bit more attack speed, a little bit more crit damage, and some main stats. So at this point, I'm trying just to get attack, defense, whatever it takes. But it was a very difficult journey to clear 250, I will say. It was not as easy as I expected it to be. And I don't think I'd want to do it again if I had a chance. I mean, it's really painful to just progress because I can't even include the amount of times I failed stages. It would have been just too much editing to even just edit it all into 1 second clips or 1 millisecond. It would have just taken too long. But 241, horrible, horrible stage. Like, at this point, I ended up having to wait till another day. And things just only ended up having to take a lot more effort. But honestly, the tower made me feel defeated half the time when you could climb so much and just get hard stuck. So I needed more power. I had to either stack white more, and you know, I just kept going back to like, I want to just progress through God's inventory. But the worst part is in Korea we get so many transcension materials, and over here we do not get that. It takes so long to actually get the transcension materials, and that's what makes God's inventory so slow for global compared to Korea, because there's so many power stats that I'm missing out on. Like, I already know that the only thing that I'm missing for reaching the top power ranks is levels, because they're already getting to level 200 already, and they're hitting over the cap, or the cap if there is one. But at the same time, we're just not getting enough transcension materials. I can't really force that out either. You can only get so many keys, and that's where I'm missing most of my power. But finally, I get back to 241. And at this point, every stage for, I think ever since 220, I need to have White's ignition go off, because he is able to finally deal some serious damage. And he still would end up dying in the stage, and then I'd have to rely on someone else to finish it. But then we hit 243, which I think is the last Quant floor. And this should technically be the last wall. And for those who don't know why Quant is so overpowered in tower, is because he will teleport to your backline and kill your carries. And the only counter I've seen for that is to have Urek T6, because he instant taunts at the beginning of the fight, and it will keep the Quant off your team, and you can hope to just kill him at that point. But otherwise, a rough road. And you know, for you guys to see how much it would take to clear all of the towers, 247 was very difficult. I feel like the the last, I feel like the last three were easy. I think 247 was Yone, and just like I said, Yone and Quant floors were ridiculous, as well as Urek floors. But this one, I think I one-shot the last three. So, like you're gonna see there. And I will tell you guys, Varagov is so good, all because he gives so much support to Viole, mostly to white, but if you're also using Hansung and Jinsung, it helps out. So finally, I cleared 250 tower, knowing my luck, next week is gonna have a Tower of Trial increase, but we get the level 250 tower pack. And I'm hoping for a legendary that I can use, and it gives me another Daniel. So that just means Daniel is over T6, gives me another dupe so I can level white. Now we're in the present time, and it's been honestly a journey. I did enjoy progressing. I just wish that my schedule and my time is a lot better than it actually is. Only because it really felt like so out of the way to get all done, but I wanted to get you guys gameplay content and I wanted to progress my account. So just to do an overview, Bomb's been done, Viole was finally finished, and then First Storm Bomb needs the update. So until the newest bomb, which is the Blue Tharissa bomb, only thing I have to look forward to is probably Step 7 for First Storm, whenever that gets added. Story, 12-4 is a wall. I feel like I'm at the point where I can clear 4-9 and maybe clear Chapter 4 hard. I feel like Chapter 4 hard is a little easier than 12-4. So I'm going to try to do that over the course of next week. But right now I'm waiting for the events to know what's coming out, what's going on to pursue, or what to basically go after next. Tower of Trial is finished. So thank God. And the hardest content in the game is the hardship tower. Like, it's ridiculous. My best is stage 42, but I can't reach that next checkpoint after that because it's like 48 or 49, and yeah, it just gets ridiculous. So tower is done. It's nice to just be able to clear the highest floors because it is pretty much the thing where the higher the floor is, the higher the drop rate for purples. It's still RNG at the end of the day, but there is supposed to be a higher percentage, so you always want to go for the highest floors if you're going for purple. This is the team I'm using to pretty much farm any tower. It doesn't really die. I do have the Varagov Fate and the Reflejo Fate. I feel like Reflejo Fate it's not really necessary, but I mean, for me, it's been making a pretty big difference just because of the decreased defense. So I'm keeping that. Admin, I feel like I've been doing good, and it resets, so we can't even show the stats of. But as you can see in the things, I managed to hit 1 across the board, so I am doing the highest. Before I go into the admin square, I can at least show what the first one is. I do have to still switch my white's weapon, so I'm using this one for progression content or whatever it takes. But for administrator, I'm actually having to switch back to the shiny onyx because I'm doing way more damage with it. So I switch it back and forth. It is the way it is. Gonna take a look at the server rankings. I don't care about the rankings, I never have. But just for everyone that asks about it, so on my server, I am against Rula and Silver, who are basically the 1 and 2. So they're both in Wingtree. Silver was like always, he was overly dominating the server because he had a huge level gap, huge power gap. Now everything kind of closed down. I caught up to levels, at least to Rula, because Rula was old. They were like all 10, 15, 20 levels over me. But I finally closed that gap up at least. So I'm only 3 levels away. All server-wise, I'm level 55 all across every server. Levels I'm never gonna really catch up on unless 200 is the cap, which you see that 2 people ended up hitting the cap, and they're also part of Luna, which is also number 3, going to hit probably 200 next. So people are hitting level cap. Levels, I'm screwed. Power wise, I ended up going to second place now. I'm at 745k. Silver still has so much on me. And at this point, I think 5 levels is at least probably like 5k power. But then it has to be like God's inventory. I think that's the only other thing I can think. All server power wise, I am to rank 32. The highest power in the game is of 853k, so that's ridiculous. It's like 100k more than me. It's like as soon as I'm entering one, I was at least entering 600k when players were going up to 700k, and now you have people going up to like 900k when I'm in the 700s. So I'm probably not gonna catch up, and I'm not even trying to catch up at this point. It's really hard to do so. Tower of Trial, we all cleared 250. I was the third one to do it. They did clear 250 a few days, if not a week before me. I don't think I could have cleared 250 too much sooner than I did. In fact, maybe I could have done it the day that the Huayran event came out. I feel like I probably could have pushed to get it done, but work and time constraints in the way, I just couldn't do it. So we are all 250 Tower of Trial now, and all server-wise, I was the 34th person to get the 250 clear. So at least until the next Tower of Trial, I'm going to maintain this because they keep the ranking based on when you cleared the 250 tower. And then after me, there's already 3 more people that hit 250. So it's only a matter of time before more and more people climb through. But it's been a journey, I must say. It has been a journey. I guess you guys can see the level-wise. So I'm a part of Luna, and we're the #1 guild in the game as far as level 21 compared to 17 as the second. And family power-wise, we have 31 million power combined with 44 people. So I've been actually really loving the game. Pot race was cleared to 300 in the last video, if you guys haven't seen. I know that the video deterred a lot of people because it's like an hour and a half, but I promise you guys, if you look through the description, everything was timestamped. All in all, I just can't wait for the next thing to come out in this game. I am glad that all the progression is at a standstill or limited right now, only because I spent so much time progressing in the last 2-3 weeks that I really can't be doing that every single week. So as much as I want there to be more content, I kind of like the pace that it currently is. If anything, I just want more features for the game, and that's the best thing. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. I did spread some tips throughout the video on what to really improve on or what to try out, but yeah, I'm sorry, it wasn't much of a linear video. It was just kind of showing my journey through clearing all of Tower. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Live Moss and stay free to play.